This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Find great deals faster.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. This podcast is designed by real people on their journey to achieving financial freedom, and we'll focus on people who've either already attained it, who are joining us on that journey, or maybe a specialist topic that can help you build your technical knowledge to achieving and maintaining that financial freedom. We hope you enjoy it. Hi folks, and welcome back to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Today is one of our 6 rounds with episodes where we focus on somebody who's either already obtained or is on their way to obtaining their financial freedom through property. Today we are welcoming one of our very good friends, Louise, and we would just like to introduce you. So a successful property investor, started roughly probably about the same time that we started, I think. Built a high cash flowing portfolio, went straight in with some commercial to resi conversions, which is not for the faint-hearted. Louise is also a marketing expert, hugely successful career with the Royal Mail. Royal Mail helps other business owners to improve their own sales and marketing strategies to achieve great results. Lou's personal friend to us both, and a JV partner of Tim's. Yeah. So a very, very warm welcome to Louise.
Thank you.
Great to have you all on.
Great to have you. Great to have you. Now, I know you're probably feeling a bit nervous, not really a cup of tea and scene, so it's just a conversation between friends. So, okay. But as we always do, we start with an icebreaker, an interesting fact, and the one that you've given to us is that you have a famous person in your ancestry who's played for England cricket. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so my great granddad, Cecil Parkin, he was a bowler.
That's a classic old English name, that isn't it? Cecil Parkin. Yeah, very good.
He played for England, and he was fired from the game that he was expelled.
Oh, was he?
Oh yeah, what did he do?
He was quite mercurial. So somebody a lot of ghostwriting went on. Like, he did a column in the Manchester Evening News, or its equivalent, and it was ghost written, and it was really unfavourable about the chairman of cricket at the time. I think it was Arthur Gilligan, or anyway, basically it saw his expulsion pretty much from the game.
All right, wow.
So that was a
And how long was his career?
When freedom of speech wasn't. Yeah. You couldn't get away with expelling somebody these days.
He was quite different as well, because cricket at that time would probably attract quite middle class, whereas he was working class.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was quite talented.
But he played in the Ashes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
And who won that series?
Not England.
Yeah.
So you mean Australia?
Yeah. It was.
You have to win some. You have to win sometimes. You can't just lose all the time.
Yeah, it was Australia.
That's not what the record books show.
No, I don't know what the record books do show. I don't follow it. So all I know is that both of them did well, and so did. What was his name?
That's very
Ben Stokes. He did all right.
Every now and then he does,
yeah. So that's about my cricket knowledge from both of them to Ben Stokes. That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Mine doesn't extend very far.
Well, and now it extends to Cecil Parkin. There you go.
Cecil
Expelled from the game for talking bad of the chairman. There we go.
Yeah.
We're going to crack straight on, if that's all right. So, question 1, really simply, tell me your story.
So I am the eldest child at 4. I'm beginning at the beginning. When I grew up in a single parent family, and we always faced the threat of losing our home, and that kind of really stayed with me throughout my childhood. And education was a real safe place for me, because family wasn't very safe. And so education became a key sort of cornerstone of my childhood and of my whole life, really. And so I excelled in education. I was obviously safe at school. I was validated, and I kind of went on to I was first in my family to go to university. And so I went to university, and obviously went on then to enjoy sort of a successful career in marketing. And sort of I'd been involved in property when I had been married, but my return back to property in all seriousness came in sort of about June 2020, when I faced redundancy at Royal Mail. and I started to consider my plan B, and I knew that I needed to get educated, basically. And because I had a real education had always served me really well, that was why I went and did my property training, and obviously met Tim, and went on from there, investing in property.
Lovely. So you talked about education. So first person from your family to go to university. What did you study?
Geography.
Number of geography people in marketing is incredible, I have to say. Yeah. I think it's a bit of a catch-all degree, you know.
It is a catch-all degree.
Yeah. When you realise geography is not about cities, it's about volcanoes. That was the one that I did it at A level as well. So, and what about so along that journey, what are the sort of like key? Because you mentioned, I want to investigate. I'm going to pick the scab a little bit. Because you mentioned about this threat of losing your home, and that's why it's what inspired you. And I think, from your background, because sometimes we have people on the podcast and it's people who it feels like it's been an easy journey to get to that position. Yours feels different. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. So that threat of losing our home throughout my childhood was really significant, and it obviously I really wanted to own my own home one day, and then when I met my husband and he owned more, he owned investment properties, that then opened my eyes to property. But I'd say that experience as a child had a positive and negative impact on my relationship with money and finances. Definitely, because I grew up with a major fear around money, fear of losing money, fear of losing my own home. So it was a driver and it's been a constraint.
So it made you worry about risk with losing money and things like that, and not taking risk as such to move forward. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Just another question then. So with the possibility of losing your house or getting repossessed, what can I ask why that was the case, or was it just because money was tight, or were there specific challenges?
Money was really tight. There wasn't very much financial responsibility at home. A lot of burying head in sand.
Yeah.
And
which is very common. A lot of people do that when they get into problems. They just look the other way and don't face it head on necessarily, do they?
Yeah. So it was, and it involved, it was always very worrying. It felt like there was a lack of control. Would we stay in our home? Would we lose it? Etc. And I kind of lived with that throughout my whole childhood. Pretty much from 8 years. From 8 years onwards, I lived with that.
Yeah, that is stressful. I mean, the comfort of knowing that your family home is safe is it's almost something that you don't even think about on a day-to-day basis.
No, absolutely.
But you've had to think about that regularly.
Well, if you think about
it crossed my mind at any point.
If you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's like a basic need, isn't it?
Yeah, it's number one, isn't it?
Yeah, for shelter. Yeah.
Right, cool. So then not cool, obviously, but yeah, cool. Moving on. So you got to university and then you started a career, marketing.
Yeah, well, I originally started in local government, but then they put me on postgrad courses, and then that opened my eyes to marketing. So I kind of accidentally fell into marketing in that it was a module in a postgraduate course that I was doing through Surrey County Council. And then I thought, I really love marketing. And so I'd be mid-20s. And so then what I did was I joined Royal Mail on a management programme, like a job changes programme, because I'd done my graduate training with Surrey County Council, and I joined Royal Mail to do marketing at Royal Mail, and that was really the start of my marketing career, and I'd be about maybe 26, something like that.
And what were the main things that you looked up to during that time then? What were because marketing's a wide scope, right?
It's a really broad church.
Yeah. So what was your area of expertise within that, do you think?
So over my marketing career, my expertise has been mainly in campaign management and delivery. So delivering sort of direct mail campaigns, press, multi-channel marketing, but I've also I did a lot of digital marketing early on, and website managing. I managed the non-food some of the non-food websites for Tesco.com. And so my marketing was very delivery based, very campaign led. And then later I'd go on to manage my own teams. And I'd say I've loved that side of marketing because I am quite delivery led.
And it's when you say delivery led, what, you know, and this is really distinctive, isn't it? Because that means what you're talking about here is it's not just about advertising, it's about delivery of tangible return on whatever it is you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And that is different, because if you send out 1,000 letters, I want to know what is my response rate and things like that, which is a different level of marketing, in my opinion. So we have social media marketing in our business, and we don't measure that to the.
No, we don't track it.
Really, we should do. Well, we do track a little bit, but we don't, like, you know, if we don't get this number of clicks, so we're gonna stop doing it or whatever. So it is a different level, and that's why it's so widely faceted as an industry, I find. And so that's good. So then you face redundancy, but that didn't come straight away, if I remember rightly. So I've known you since 2020, and I'm pretty sure that's a 4-year threat or something like that of redundancy. How long did it go on for? That sort of like.
So I went on to do different roles within marketing in different companies. So from Tesco.com to working for the big banks and doing a whole variety of roles. And then I returned back to Royal Mail.
That was it, right? Okay,
yeah, I returned. I did my stint at Royal Mail, and then I returned back to Royal Mail 2015. So so back in June 2020, I faced redundancy. I survived it, but I'd already opened the books.
Yeah, they'd
So
drop out pennies.
I'd already read, Is It When the Hammer Falls by Peter Ruzinek and Jay Howard, and I was like, I could start buying auction properties.
Yeah.
I'll have this plan B for property. I'll carry on at Royal Mail. I survived redundancy. I'll carry on, and I'll just maybe look at property as a plan B. And of course, then I attended PIN.
Yep.
It was on Zoom, and I remember seeing Tim, and then the next thing, I'm joining Accelerator, and then I'm signing up. I'm signing up for 12-month mastermind, because when I'd been involved in property in a subordinate capacity when I was with my husband. I was, my eyes were really open to how little they knew and how much they were winging it. And it got us in trouble in the courts, you know, getting tenants out, and it just felt really unprofessional, and like they were.
It's a really good point, actually, because there are lots and lots of landlords across the country, aren't there? And some that have been doing it for a very long time, but you know, even if you've just done a really good course for a short space of time, sometimes you might already know more than that person that's been doing it the wrong way for 10 years. Yeah, education is really important, especially in the property space.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, the property that we've just bought had lost probably about 50k in value, to the point where we bought it because of the tenants that they had in there. No other reason. There was nothing wrong with the property.
Yeah.
And they've lost.
It was in reasonable condition, not as high a spec as we do it, but it was okay.
But we bought it at a price because their number one problem was the tenanting. You know, and literally it was yesterday. I'll share with you. Yesterday, I took the last tenant myself, because we exchanged with delayed completion, and then the delayed completion was on getting vacant possession. So yesterday, I got the last tenant's stuff in my car and drove him to his new place. And I'll tell you the story about that another time.
That was commitment.
I bet
the other thing is we did agree that we had to get a lawful certificate, because this property did not have planning approval as well.
Been operating as an HMO without planning
approval. So there's a couple major problems there that we solved, and that was part of the value, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's added that value back. You know, so right here, right now, just by doing those actions, you know, so doing the course, and like you said, not knowing what you're doing can cost you so much money if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, by knowing it, you can make lots of money, can't you?
Yeah.
You can solve the problems.
You solve the problems, and
absolutely. It was a hell of a journey with that last tenant. I'll tell you the story another time. So you mentioned it, and I'm going to pick this guy again, if that's all right. So you were subordinate in a property business. What did that look like?
So my ex-husband and his brother had started to build a portfolio by the time we got married. It was single lets, but they had one mixed use property, mixed use commercial, and that was the most lucrative property they had, and that was the attraction back in 2020. But they typically just used me and my sister-in-law to like clean the properties, help paint, deal with difficult tenants, and obviously go to court to try and get tenants out, even though we didn't have all our paperwork in order. So my eyes had already been opened to the potential of property, and I'd seen I liked the commercial mixed use model because I liked the tenant groups. I liked the fact that the commercial ones were typically just there in the day and were quite low maintenance, and you could earn good money, and then obviously you could utilise, and that was a shop and upper. The one he had in his portfolio was shops and uppers. So it was, I was drawn back to that really, but I was drawn back to the opportunity to do it properly. And ironically, he called me earlier this year asking for my advice.
Oh, but that was a good moment.
Because he had an HMO and it was an Article 4 area, no planning, etc. Yeah, it was a great moment.
Yeah, good for you. So then you've decided properties for you.
Yeah.
So let's move this forward. So we'll like to move on to question 2 then, because it also wraps it up. So anything you want to add to your story, any cool stuff you've done or anything like that before we move on?
Probably, I think like linked to education, one of my biggest achievements, apart from my kids, is the charity.
Oh yes, please tell me about this. Oh God, your photos are so good. Tell me about this.
Little cute kids. So I got the opportunity to get involved with my friend was volunteering in Cambodia, and she that was it. We'll roll back. She was in Cambodia. She'd met this wonderful family. One of the girls the family couldn't afford to put their daughters through university. Typically the boys go, but not always the girls. So anyway, we paid for Sonpo to go to university. We sponsored her, and she got her teaching degree.
Oh, wow.
And then my friend Nikki and Sonpo had this vision that they wanted to create a school for children of poor families. They carry what's called a poor card in Cambodia, and we'd create a school in the village. And I got involved really early on, before even one brick was laid.
What's a poor card?
Yeah, it basically is a card that kind of almost confirms that you're destitute, basically.
Oh, that's horrendous.
He's destitute. I mean, we're talking like probably not got enough to eat.
Right.
Struggling to eat.
And is that card carried so that confirms your situation?
Yeah,
so because maybe begging's a problem, and therefore they're professional beggars rather than poor card holders. And
it confirms their situation, but the poverty there is tremendous.
I can't say I've been, I have to say,
yeah. So we raised the money and we built the school, and we have got around 50 children on roll today, and the school is thriving. And one of the things that the school has many benefits for the kindy. I mean, in the poorest of families, they're playing with plastic bottle tops. They don't even have toys or anything.
Right.
So the children have got access to toys and play, and the grandmothers come as well, and they're learning. And for the kindy kids, the kindergarten ones, it's really good because it helps develop their ability to hold a pencil, etc., before they start state school. But some of the families are too poor to even send their children to state school at 6. So what we'll do is we'll fund uniforms, bicycles, so they can attend state school as well. We teach Khmer first, English second. We have some children who are so bright, but to go to university in Cambodia, you have to be able to speak English. So English is a gateway language. So the school has been a huge source of joy and a big achievement, and kind of it aligns really well with my own passion for education.
It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Well done. What's the future look like for that? What does what's next for this journey that you're on with the school and this charity?
For the school, there's so many more opportunities that we can develop with it, really around empowering women, entrepreneurship in the village. It's very much reliant and dependent upon funding. one of the big breakthroughs we've had is that he's working with the British Embassy, the British ambassador there, Dominic, is and his wife are real supporters of the charity. So it's going to be very reliant on funding and accessing grants.
How's it funding? It's through grant?
Yeah, it's completely, no, at the moment it's completely funded through voluntary monthly donations.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know, 100% reliant on that.
Yeah, because that is scary. That is because people, any change to people's,
Totally.
The comforts that we take for granted is incredible, isn't it? Just general.
I don't even have toys. I haven't spoken about it. I can't.
No toys. I was just thinking about our living room at home and all the toys that Isla and Seb have, and it's just it's there, and to think that they're playing with bottle caps and bottles.
We feed the children now as well, because we were finding some of them were starving.
What's the financial requirement to keep it going every month?
The financial requirement's relatively low there because it's cheap.
Yeah.
So the financial requirement is a minimum is about $500 a month.
Oh right, okay. But that's just for the basics.
Yeah, that's just for the basics.
That doesn't then give you access to the toys and the.
No. Well, we've got all our resources already. We've done a lot of fundraising over time.
Yeah.
But we're 100% reliant on voluntary donations right now, and But the good news is that the school's stable, and we have got that that income right now.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done. Surely we can underwrite some of that. $500 a month.
Oh yeah, that's literally just what I was thinking. Then
we'll just do that now, then, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Gosh, that would be amazing.
That's done.
That's $500 American dollars.
Yeah.
Or Australian.
Right.
American dollars. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Just start invoicing us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Done.
It's a Sawn Foundation, isn't it? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't.
Thank you. I'm a bit speechless.
No. That's makes me upset just thinking about that.
Yeah, I get emotional.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
No anyway, right, let's move on. That's not why we're here. So, question 2, financial freedom. Now, this question is a bit loaded, which is because financial freedom means different things to different people, and we find that everyone's got a different answer.
Yeah.
So this is a personal thing. So, what is financial freedom to you, and where are you against that journey?
Well, that is an interesting question. And I was thinking about this yesterday. So I've been really wrestling. So if we think about financial freedom, I've been really wrestling with this. It's sort of until quite recently with this fear from my childhood of losing it all.
Yeah.
And so I've had a real constraint around finances where I feared so much losing it all, because obviously I've got multiple businesses now. I've got the property business, I've got the marketing consultancy, and I founded a new business this year, a marketing training business. And I have this fear of finances and not make it, do I have enough? Will I make enough? Will I lose it all? It's been really holding back my business.
Right.
And I have been really working on that and starting to remove the fear of finance.
Right.
So
do you think this is because of the losing your home?
Completely. This is rooted in my childhood and an inherent belief that I'm not going to be okay. That's what it's rooted in. Fear. I'm not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. I'm going to lose it all. I'm not going to be able to pay for everything, etc., etc. And I have been really working on that so that I can start to become free from finance and more open, because I think by becoming free from finance, I almost remove the constraint and create the conditions for growth. And since I've been doing this work, my business is doing a lot better. It was really holding back my business, this fear.
Have you got a specific example of where a decision's been led and you've not taken the right one in your mind because of fear? Have you got something?
Yeah, exactly. So fear, I'm not going to be okay. I'm going to lose it all. I've kept playing this okey cokey game. You put your left leg in, your left leg out. Am I going to stay running? Obviously not the property business. Property business is solid and it's sat here. But the marketing businesses, I've been like, am I going to go back to be to work again. Of course I work, but you know what I mean? Am I going to go back to working again, being a marketing director, etc.? And I've kept yo-yoing in my mind. It's totally held back my consultancy. It's held back my belief in myself with my training business. I've been talking the language of ifs and maybes, and once
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that, because when we've spoken, it's
Yes.
always been perhaps and maybe and if.
exactly.
But what is interesting though is obviously we've done 3 reasonable sized developments together, which were, you know, commercial to residential conversions. So there's quite a decent amount of risk in that, and obviously you put forward a lot of investment funds as well. So you do have the mindset for growth and you're taking some educated risks and things like that. So it's kind of surprising in a way that in your expert field, which is what you're doing in marketing, that you are an expert in, that holds you back more than, say, the property developments, if that makes sense.
And maybe that was because I was doing the property developments with you, whereas in
working with someone.
Whereas in the marketing, I'm like, I'm in that arena on my own, aren't I? And I don't know.
Sometimes that's the power of working with other people.
You're on your own in your business, but you're not on your own as a whole, because you've had hundreds of people that you've worked with in the past that have helped you be able to develop how to deliver tangible marketing campaigns with real results that people will want to learn how to do and or buy campaigns off you. So, you know, although it feels like you're on your own leading that individual business, I would say that that's not true, because you've had hundreds of people probably that you've worked with across these massive organizations who have been super successful in their marketing campaigns that you've led. So why wouldn't, you know, everybody else want to understand how to do that? So, you know, if you look at it from a different viewpoint of, we talked to this before with a previous guest about, he's an expert in his field, and then and yet because of the 5 people he surrounds himself with are also experts in their field, he's always measuring himself against those 5 experts. When the reality is he's 0.1% of the entire 66 million population. So if you said who's the best people to lead marketing campaigns, well, it's people who've run tangible marketing campaigns for Tesco, Royal Mail, you know, all these massive organizations who've had tangible results, how to measure it, what people actually respond to, and all of that experience and hundreds of hours and thousands of hours of doing it. So I get what you're saying in terms of like, I feel like I'm on my own, but you're the expert.
Yeah, and you're right. But I've struggled to, when I returned back, or when I set up my consultancy, I think there was actually, I don't even think, I know that I fundamentally felt like I was an imposter, and it's ridiculous. And, you know, and I don't know whether it's because there's all these young guns and they're all, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my marketing's outdated. But I'm 50 and I'm setting up this marketing consultancy at age 50, or, you know, I faced real imposter syndrome, and it wasn't until I started to peel back the layers and go, no, Louise, you are limitless. You are full of possibility. You are well-intentioned. But I had to almost like remove some of those constraints to grow.
So why was it young guns making you fearful? Why was that?
I think if we look at
the TikTok generation.
If we look at social media, there's a lot of people, shouting about how good they are and how, you know, and how amazing their marketing is and stuff. And I think I felt like a real imposter. I felt like,
I guess are you comparing quite a bit?
Yeah,
maybe unnecessarily to different type of people. You were, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
But actually, I do remember you saying that even in the property space. It might have been for a talk or something. You're like, I feel like such an imposter. I'm like, what do you mean, Lou? You've pretty much got a £2 million property portfolio. You've got like 25 of your own tenants, and like you've done that. They're all done and operating. Why you're not an imposter? You're an expert.
Stop the podcast now. This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Property Filter is the #1 property tool for today's property professional. It brings in all the data points and sources from all the property portals and auction sites into one convenient place. Then you have the option to overlay all the clever strategies found in the Property Filter blueprint to find motivated sellers faster. Now, we use it on a daily basis. It saves us over 80% of our time when looking for properties. And if that sounds like something that you want in your lives, please go to register www.property-filter.co.uk/PPB, which is the discount code for this podcast. You will get 2 weeks free and a discount on your first month. That's it from me. Back to the podcast.
Yeah, so I think as well, I don't know whether you two would agree with this, but when you work for someone else, you don't really have to take the mirror to yourself. But when you run your own business, I think you have to take the mirror to yourself. And I think I just realized I needed to do a lot. I needed to work on me and start believing in myself.
I also think it's your avatar. Like, if you're worried about the kids advertising to the other kids, like, leave them to that. Do you know the things I bought on Facebook and TikTok? It's a flat zero. somebody writes to me and tells me what's what and how much they can say me or how much they can do for my property business. I'm going to read a letter and go, oh yeah. And I'm from the 80s generation who came up with that social media transition. Never mind, I'm never going to buy anything. I don't even have these apps, So, you've also got to think
knowing
about
your client, knowing your customer.
So like in property, as an example, you're a property expert in property. Who buys property? It's 35 plus year olds normally who buy second homes. Are they buying stuff on TikTok and Instagram? Probably not.
No.
So yeah, I mean, it is.
I don't have TikTok, so.
No.
Do you know what? TikTok's the only one I do have.
All right.
Yeah, because of the.
I'm on Instagram. Don't use it to the best of its ability, but no TikTok. Apparently, Facebook's just for oldies. So.
I don't have the app. I've obviously got the website because we do Facebook advertising and we don't run our own campaigns. But even that, it's not run by me, is it? It's run by Annelle in the Philippines. So don't put it in a public forum. There you go. Cool. So I don't think we've answered the question. So I'm going to go back to the question.
Yeah.
What is financial freedom to you?
Financial freedom to me is, well, I think it's about being happy with where I am now, which I'd say I am happy with where I am now, but that doesn't mean that I'm not full of possibility for the future. So the future for me, it looks like shifting away from trading my time for money and moving more to product-based selling. And making more, like we do with the property where you make money while you sleep. It's looking at more of that model where I work fewer hours, but I have businesses.
We had this conversation about 18
I have a business that I'm really passionate and lifestyle business that I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about my businesses now, but the hours are silly, and that's where I'd like to transition to.
And by the business now, you mean you are actually doing physical campaigns for people? You're actually sitting there helping them with their letters, doing the consultations, all that kind of stuff. That is time consuming, right?
Incredibly, yeah. So I love my marketing consultancy. I've got 5 clients. I'm doing a whole mixture of press, LinkedIn, website, investor packs.
You do a lot of content creation, don't you, for clients and things like that? And I know, even with my own social media and doing the content, it is time consuming, isn't it? To think of what you need to write, what you were going to write, how you're going to write it, and all that sort of stuff. It is very time consuming.
Yeah, the money I make is directly linked to my time, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And I can't make really, my time is finite. Whereas moving to transitioning to more product-based selling with the training is definitely what freedom looks like for me. I will still do the consultancy, but it will take up less of my time.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a very sensible move.
Yeah.
So have you got a goal?
What?
Financial goal? Have you set down a set one?
Because I always think of facts and figures in these circumstances.
You mean in terms of how much per month?
Yeah. Have you got a goal?
Yeah.
And have you set it down like that's from property, that's from my business, that's from my business assets? Have you done that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Over 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Okay. So obviously you started in property and then you seem to have had a hiatus. Or you're just not, or you've gone on to do, like, I've got that cash flow now and I'm happy. I'm happy with it. And then...
Still got a portfolio to manage a little bit with other partners.
But honestly, I think that's a great, like, people don't, like, if anybody was going to say,
how to do it, unless you've alluded to it like we are, we're just continuing. It's like, well, I want this much cash flow from property, and then I'm going to go and do what I love.
Here's an example then for our business that we do for property wise. We meet up in a coffee shop like maybe once a month or every couple of months for say an hour and a bit. We do a finance review once a month for about half an hour. And then outside of that, it's bits and pieces, isn't it, really? So really that, if you had to narrow it down, the property income you get, per hours per month, it's not massive at all, is it?
No.
And that's even with fairly big HMO portfolio.
Yeah.
Obviously very well managed by a very good lettings and management agency.
You guys do a cracking job. You really do. I don't even need to think about it.
We can't take the credit for that either, because the team did an excellent job. Yeah.
It is the team.
But yeah, I mean, I would contemplate buying more property, but my priority right now is to systemize the consultancy, grow the training business, and
Well, but the thing is, we talk about purpose, right? So I always talk about it, and I say it on several of these podcasts, which is, I actually think that as a race of people, we're built for struggle, because we're hunter gatherers and cave dwellers originally, and we're built for struggle. But struggle with purpose gives us life, if you know what I mean. If you actually feel like it's you get this sense of like busy anxiety, right? Which is like, but I'm busy and it's good, but I'm anxious at the same time. It's actually a feeling that you get of like, and it's just, you're on all the time.
It's a really good point, actually, because last night at PIN, there was a new guy that was fairly young. He must have been in his low 20s or something. I said, so what do you want to achieve in property? He said, I want to build up an income, then I'm just going to retire and just, I won't need to do anything then.
Well, that sounds amazing.
And I'm just like, okay, that will change in a few years, because obviously you just completely lose your purpose. And like you said, purpose is so important.
So I think what Lou has done is the definition of success. She's done something, which is property portfolio. She's educated herself. It might not be her number one passion, but it gives her what she needs to do to then go and do the thing. She then gives her the purpose. So
absolutely.
That is an absolutely amazing.
It's also giving me my niche with my business, Phil, because that was one of the best things that I did early on, was decide that I'm going to niche in real estate. And I niche in real estate. I do have non-real estate clients for the consultancy, but half of them are real estate. And then on the training business, I'm niching in real estate.
Very good.
So it's really helped me.
With all the knowledge and experience you have, obviously.
And that differentiated position, because I can say I am an investor, I am a developer, and I still speak, you talk the lingo, and you stay abreast of the trends and the sector. So it's been good for me.
Yeah, super stuff. Right then, so the next question sort of ties into the conversation. And so what strategies are you using to achieve that financial freedom goal?
A few. So on the consultancy, I'm starting to outsource certain tasks and stuff to create some leverage. Obviously I've founded the training business, or co-founded it with Lizzie, and the training business really will move me towards a product-based sales. Which will definitely benefit in terms of cash flow and income. And obviously with the property, we continue to optimize the costs and the income. But yeah, I'd say the real vehicle is the product-based business.
Yeah, very good. And what's been most effective to date? Property, and then it's going to be the rest of the businesses. And what was the strategy on property, just so everyone understands? Because Tim's touched on it, but you describe your property portfolio and how you achieved that to get to that position.
So the property portfolio was about, for me, it was ultimately about leaving corporate life.
Sorry, I mean the actual strategy and asset rather than financial freedom,
So the actual strategy with the property was obviously buying commercial properties and doing commercial to residential conversion on shops and uppers, and I guess benefiting really from the capital uplift from the development.
So it's a buy, refurbish, refinance model, momentum investing, because we had substantial.
We bought
value
3 in 1 year. So we bought obviously 3 in 1 year. We significant development on one of the projects, well, on 2 of them actually. The third one was more of a refurb, and then having multiple income streams through a blend of commercial and residential tenants, and creating that regular cash flow.
So in 1 year, you did the training.
Yeah.
And then you developed how many income streams in total?
25 tenants there is in total across
incredible.
those 3 properties. Yeah.
Yeah. So one property has 14 income streams, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And then,
alone.
25 between the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Really good, I have to say. Right then. So, and those are commercial, they're flats, they're HMOs.
Yeah.
And which is the most productive of those, do you think?
The HMOs definitely. Even though it's noisy money, although really it's not that noisy for me because you guys manage it.
Oh yeah.
We do say that like HMOs do get talks about being noisy, and if you're self-managed or they're not managed well, they can be much noisier, can't they? Yeah,
definitely. But the HMOs for sure has been a really good move. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, then question 4. So we're going to move on from the what we like to understand is because everyone's different. So what is your typical day, and what does it look like? Do you have a typical day?
Any habits and routines?
Yeah. So my day is pretty ritualistic, really, the way it starts. So it always starts with I'll fix a coffee, I'll read the Daily Stoic, and then I don't pick my phone up first. I will then write my gratitude journal. So I write a daily gratitude journal wherever I am in the world. I'll then write 5 affirmations, and I reset my mind every morning, no matter how I'm feeling. That's really important to me. And then I'll either go to the gym or I'll take a walk so that I kind of set that for circadian rhythm, really, get some natural light so that I can get sleep, because I struggle with sleep. So I'll do that so I can sleep well at night. My day, I'm often working from home, and I've been reading The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss. And so I've really stripped back my tasks now for the day. And I've also switched off WhatsApp and email. So I wouldn't say I'm completely not distracted at all. I am sometimes distracted, but I am far less distracted now. So I have just 2 tasks. If I get through them, great, I'll set another 2. But I'm finding I am way more productive now. And my work will be a blend of, it can be anything from discussing what the customer communications journey looks like for a client, helping them devise their marketing strategy, writing website copy. Yesterday I was with a client and they're doing a door drop campaign. So we were planning that with Whistle, and then another client doing their posting plan for LinkedIn. What does it look like between now and Christmas? So it's so diverse and it's so interesting. And that is one of the reasons that you were talking earlier, Phil, about purpose. For me, it's really important to do what I enjoy.
Yeah. I do remember having this chat maybe 12 months ago or something, and you were having a few challenges because you were so busy, and it was literally just like, what are the things you can outsource that you don't necessarily have to do?
Said that,
and what are the things that you definitely do need to do and you want to do? And then that's your first initial, movement to outsourcing, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I have started outsourcing some the routine tasks around the social media management. Where it pays to do that, and that's been
pay someone to just post and host,
but a weight off my shoulders. And it's quite a step, isn't it, outsourcing, because you've got to have the confidence that you're going to bring in the money and more than cover the costs, and well,
everyone's biggest issue is people, right? So the second you involve people in anything, something's going wrong. What you think, you only have to play one game of Chinese whispers to see how easy things can get misunderstood, misconstrued, or misaligned.
And it's setting up things and planning it in the first place. Like the person you're outsourcing that work to, if you have a good system and process from the outset and you run through it, in detail, that really makes a big difference. So if you just employ them and say, I want you to do this, you're going to get a very different result.
Totally. Standard operating
building projects as well. If you don't plan it well up front, and you just get the builder going, it can end in absolute disaster, can't it?
Carnage.
Before the go live, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're going to move on to question 5. If that's okay. And this is to do with, we don't want anybody to think that it's easy, but it's purposeful to get to a level of financial freedom. So what we want to understand is what is your biggest success, and then on the flip side, what's been your biggest failure in your journey today?
My biggest success has definitely been the property. That was a really shrewd move. And even though the investment in the education felt like a lot of money at the time, and I was sucking money out of my family home, and sucked a lot of equity out of my family home,
which is one of your biggest fears, by the way. So yeah, well done.
Absolutely, I had to face it.
Well, that's what I said before. Is obviously you did take some reasonable educated risks at that point.
Yeah,
with things like
I did.
That, so.
I did, but it did feel bloody scary, I'll be honest. It was like scary at the time. Yeah, so I'd say the property has been a really shrewd move. Teaming up with Tim, meeting you lot, and that network that we've built, and that support, that community, definitely my best move yet. Because if I didn't have the property enabled me to start building the other businesses, and the property gave me the impetus, because I'd never seen myself as an entrepreneur, never. That was for someone else. That was for people who were creative. That wasn't for people like me. And obviously once I'd started the property business and we got back to a position where it was making money, and
it's a bit of security, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit of security.
A decent amount of security.
Well, it pays the basic bills, doesn't it, ultimately? That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gave me the belief, the kind of motivation to start building these other businesses.
Yeah, super
but
stuff.
Yeah, definitely property.
And what have you struggled with the most? What was the
What's been a big challenge?
Probably what I alluded to earlier, the fear. But really, until I started actually facing my fears, it was only when I started facing them I realised how much they were holding back my business growth. And I had to start leaning into that fear and that uncertainty. I had to lean into it to start growing and start accelerating my business.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear where that's come from as well. You know,
Yeah.
so you know, I think that's probably going to be I think that might be your biggest challenge now. But I think once the businesses are running and they're generating probably more than a property business, I think you'll probably turn that around to your biggest success, overcoming that. If I'm honest, it sounds like you're on the right path.
I feel it now.
And we've had lots of conversations over
yeah.
the years, and I've always, I think we had a conversation about it. I was like, I'm not sure. This campaign-led thing that Lou's doing sounds like a lot of time-consuming activities, and now it feels like this sounds like a good plan. It's from a top level point of view. It sounds like a really
use
good plan.
all your
Thank you.
Experience and knowledge, and do the absolute key things and oversee the whole process, but leverage the key elements to free up time is a key, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm starting to kind of listen to that now. You guys have been saying that for quite a while, and I'm starting to listen to it and apply it to my business. But importantly, I am actually starting to believe in Lou now.
No, good. Yeah. Well, it's half the battle, right? Okay, so
51.
Question 6, which is your last question. Okay, so what is the best piece of advice you've been given?
That your commitment to change, to yourself, to growth, to your business, your commitment has got to be greater than your excuses.
Love that. Yeah.
It's got to be greater than your excuses. And, there's still a lot of change that I want to make to myself personally. And, it has got to be greater than my excuses. That commitment has got to be greater than blaming others. Being a victim, you've just got to take the bull by the horns, haven't you, and take responsibility. And have that commitment. You've got to want it enough, haven't you? What we're doing here, what you're doing with your business, you've really got to want it enough. And that's probably the single biggest piece of, most
your commitment has to be
far.
Where do you think your commitment comes from? What gives you the commitment? Is it your reason why and things like that, or what gets you to commit?
It is your why, isn't it? You've got to want it, and you've got to want your life to be different. You've got to want it enough. You've got to want your life to be different enough, because if you stay where you are, it's uncomfortable. If you change, it's uncomfortable. But you've got to want it enough to make the change. So I think it is bound in your why, and your why might be your family, it might be your legacy, it might be your own personal growth journey, it might be because you want, I don't know, to retire to Thailand and work 4 hours a week and live on a beach. It doesn't matter what it is. It's got to be something inside you that drives you. Yeah.
Very good. There is a previous guest question here. We'll ask you to ask one as well, if you don't mind, before you go. So the previous guest question is, what is the most important to you? And there's 3 examples. Wealth, health, or freedom and flexibility?
I'd say freedom, but my definition of freedom is feeling free, like that in your mind. Being freedom for me is inner peace, because I think if you've got inner peace, you can deal with your health not going right.
Right. Yep.
You can deal with your wealth taking an unexpected turn. If you've got freedom, inner peace, that for me is success.
Very good. Great answer. Okay, so your grilling's over. Like you can get that inner peace back. There you go. So we obviously end because we like to give you the opportunity to ask us a question. So I know you've prepared a question. So do you want to lead off with that?
Yeah. So I'll start with you.
Okay.
So, in your eulogy, I know it's not a very nice thing to think about, but
piquing my fear of death. But there we go. Go ahead.
But how do you want Phil to be remembered? What will they say?
That is a great question, isn't it? I mean, I think
remembered.
How do I want to be remembered? I'd be happy with a simple thought, which is he was a determined person who's provided a legacy for us as a family, and I think that to me is would suffice. I don't want anything else really. I think that
provided for your family.
Yeah, because when I look above me, I mean, I'm an adopted child. I was very lucky to be adopted by the family that I have. When I look at, the legacy from that family environment, there is kind of a legacy, but it's more to do with feeling than anything tangible. Whereas I want to leave something tangible. I want to leave something which means that, the next generation, the generation after, don't have to toil as hard as, perhaps I've had to toil or whatever, or don't have to take as the risks that perhaps I've had to risk or go through the things that I've had to go through. So, I think that for me is the one. And if I can achieve even 50% of the goals that I set myself, then I think that's it. That's something that people will be able to sit back and go, yeah, he was a bit different. He thought differently, and he's left this legacy because of that, really, more than anything else.
You definitely think differently.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
You think very laterally, but I like that. And it's often very simple how we want to be remembered, isn't it?
Yeah, just simply, he worked hard and he's left us something great.
Okay, Sophie.
What do you got for me?
Tim. So, I often like the work that I've done on myself. I often reflect back on 10-year-old Lou, 12-year-old Lou, but I want you to think about 16-year-old Tim.
Right.
And knowing what you know now, if you could go back and if you could give 16-year-old Tim some advice, what would it be?
Yeah, right. So I think I might try and take this a little bit of a step journey, but I think to start with, because at age 16, you're year 11 at school, you're in the school system.
Yeah.
I would go back to Tim and say, education is extremely important, and it will be extremely important in your life, but on the stuff that you're interested in, passionate about, and want to pursue. So don't discount education because you don't think school's the best and you're not really interested in chemistry or whatever. But education is really important, but in the stuff you're passionate about. Further to that, I would say, look, the people you surround yourself is really important. The network and the key people you spend a lot of time with will define who you are, whether you think that at the time or not. So your group of friends you're hanging around with now, in the future, people you team up with in your network are really, really important. Also, you are young, so there's things that you can do now that will help you in the back end of your life. So, You can invest in assets, you can build wealth, and what that does for you is not just the money side or being rich. It's the time freedom and flexibility that brings you, and what that can bring you is it gets you to a place that you've got purpose in your life and have a fulfilled life. So I think something along those lines is the general bit of advice I would give 16-year-old Tim, and I think he would look at me and go, "What are you talking about?"
What did you just say? It's true about your network and your friendships, so you don't think about that at all when you're younger, do you? Yet who we surround ourselves with is absolutely critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can easily just get the bad groups just at school, can't you? And at the time as well, and that has a big effect on you. So
yeah,
good stuff. Right then, that brings us to the end.
Oh,
thank you very much, Lou. How can people get in touch with you if you want to?
Yep, so they can find me, Louise Jowsey, on LinkedIn. I think I am the only Louise Jowsey on there.
Yeah, nice. There's only one Phil Bygrove. So there you go.
Yeah. Great, isn't it? Yeah, there's only
not many Timothy Wits either, but maybe two.
Yeah. So you can find me and connect with me on
LinkedIn. And your
marketing
business?
My marketing business, again, they can find me at marketingsweetspot.com.
On
the website. Yeah, on the website. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Or on LinkedIn.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And thank you very much, Lou. That was a really insightful journey. Don't forget to send us the account details for this charity. We'll get that transferred start today.
Thank you very much, you too.
Oh, no, you're welcome. And we will hopefully catch you on the next one. That's all from us. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Great to have you.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. If you want to get in touch with us about today's podcast or any of the learning topics that we've gone through today, you can email us at podcast@invest-prop.co.uk or get in touch with us with whichever your social media platform of choice is. If you think you would add value to us as a guest on this podcast, you can please get in touch and let us know what you would be able to talk to us about. Other than that, we wish you well on your financial freedom journeys. And once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.